The Mammotion Yuka, the cheaper sibling of Mammotion's Luba and Luba 2 robotic lawnmowers. But the question is, does the Yuka offer anything new in the robot mower market to warrant you spending over $1,000 for the base mower? Let's find out. Now, to get all the other stuff out of the way, they did reach out and send me this in exchange for a review. And to be honest, I'm excited that they did it. If you're familiar with Mammotion, a couple years ago they came out with the Luba, and after that they came out with the Luba 2. They're the robot mowers that look like F1 cars. And I know people that personally own that machine and they absolutely love it and the reviews of it are great. So when Mammotion reached out and asked me to review this Yuka series lawnmower, robot mower, I was really excited. Now I will say I don't just accept reviews for just random stuff. It has to actually serve a purpose for something that I'm in need of. And what I'm in need of is being able to routinely mow my tall fescue in the front yard. The biggest selling feature to me for the Yuka is the height of cut. I wouldn't have accepted this mower if it didn't mow tall enough. In the backyard, I have a Segway Navimo, which mows up to 2 and 2.4 inches or something like that. I can't move that to my front yard, which is turf type tall fescue. I typically mow anywhere from 3.5 to 4 inches, and the Yuka mows at 3.94 inches. Plenty tall enough for my tall fescue, St. Augustine grass, whatever. So having a robot mower that mows the front yard at the correct height of cut is something I've been looking at for the last 8 months or so. And this, the Yuka, mows at 3.94 inches, which is perfect. So when they reached out to me and asked me to do this review and I found out its height of cut and a few other little hidden features about it, I was really excited to accept. I think you're gonna find what this mower has to offer exciting as well. Mammotion's big selling feature with the Yuka is that it's the world's first lawn sweeping robot mower. That is a really cool feature, especially as we enter fall. It is an add-on, so you can purchase just the mower, but adding the sweeper provides additional functionality. The sweeper also comes with an additional battery, so that's a really nice touch. A cool feature with the sweeper is that it will auto dump the basket in a designated area. If you compost, set up your compost area as the dump site, the Yuka will unload the basket, then get back to work. I wanted to show you what it looks like underneath. Now, I will say the difference here that I've seen from other ones, it has the single wheel here versus, or the caster wheel, coaster wheel, other than what I have on my other mower, which has 2. So that's kind of interesting. And so if it gets stuck, I wonder if it gets turned, if it's gonna struggle to find its way out. But the driving and turning is done by the back wheel. So maybe not, so that's kind of an interesting choice. But the big thing is underneath, the actual cutting mechanisms here. Like I said, it's really cool because it does go up to 3.9 plus inches, 3.94 to be exact inches, so it mows really tall, which I like. It also has a wider cutting pattern. It goes to 13 inches, so it's from this bar to this bar. It does use your typical razor blades like all robot mowers pretty much. And these things, as long as you're just cutting grass, you're not running it through sticks and rocks or whatever, these things actually last pretty good, a pretty good amount of time. And I find that you can flip them and it actually helps them go a little bit longer, but it does come when you purchase it with an extra set. So that's really good. A cool feature that I wasn't expecting is this floating deck. Ooh, it floats. So that way, if you have undulations in the yard, it risks the ability to scalp your yard, which I find really cool. It's a lot like a riding lawnmower in that case because it does, sort of float with your yard. So that's actually really, really cool. Another feature that I'm fond of is that because it's got a large cavity here, it doesn't clog as much as according to what they say. So if you're mowing with wet grass and all this stuff, with my other mower in the backyard, when I mow the Bermuda, if it gets too wet or the grass is too wet, or I let it grow too tall and it's too wet, it does tend to bog down. Because you have a lot of room for airflow, that does allow for everything to sort of flow through and fall out, so you're not getting clogging here. So I am quite fond of how tall it mows, how wide of a cutting width that it has at the 13 inches, which is more than my other and most mowers for that matter. So it does make for quicker work of smaller lawns. And the fact that it's floating is a really cool feature as well. The one thing I find weird, and I'm curious how it's gonna go in the long run, is this caster wheel, but we'll see. Something else worth mentioning, in the app, you can program lawn art cutting patterns. Now that is pretty cool, but to be completely honest, I'm never gonna use that feature. Let's talk about setup. This isn't gonna be a how-to setup guide because the app does a fantastic job walking you through how to set up the lawnmower. What I did do is I set a timer to just see how long it takes from the moment I opened the box until I was ready to actually program a mowing area. That took 38 minutes and 2 seconds. Now I did goof around a little bit playing with my daughter and stuff, so had I just spent time and focused solely on setting up the mower, it probably would have been a lot quicker, but still 38 minutes to the moment when you're ready to actually program a mowing area, that's pretty quick. Now the mowing area, that didn't take much time at all, but every lawn size is different, so I didn't bother timing that. But same thing, go through the app, it walks you through it. It's really easy, you just walk a perimeter around your yard and it basically maps it out for you, and then you just set it to mow and it stays within that area. Simple. Now when it comes to mapping and setting up mowing areas, the Yuka uses both RTK and 3D vision positioning. That's one of the other big selling features of this mower, is that it uses 2 positioning methods to ensure that you're gonna have nice, accurate, precise mowing. Now the RTK is the primary method it's gonna use. That's the big antenna that it comes with. That's gonna be the main thing that the Yuka is trying to read to set up its positioning. If for whatever reason you lose that positioning, it loses signal, it switches to the 3D vision, which is the cameras on the mower itself, and it sort of uses that to read the terrain and make sure it's staying in the mowing area. This is giving you precise mowing, keeping it in your yard and not wandering off somewhere else, like you see a lot of those Roombas they show going down the street and stuff. The Yuka isn't gonna do that. That also means you don't have to deal with perimeter wires, which is huge. I've had mowers that needed perimeter wires. I've had to set them up a couple different times. And not only is the installation a hassle, if somewhere down the line that perimeter wire gets corrupted, you have to find that corrupted part of the wire and then fix it, which ultimately leads to other corruptions later on down the line. So you don't have to worry about that with the Yuka. Now for what's probably my most favorite feature of the Mammotion Yuka is its no-touch obstacle avoidance. Now essentially, the entire mower is one giant bumper, especially the front part of it. So if any part of that mower bumps into something, the Yuka is gonna back up and go around it. The Yuka's no-touch feature is so fast. Using the data that it gets from its cameras, it processes that data within milliseconds and avoids objects so ridiculously quick. And to test this, I first did it on myself to make sure I wasn't going crazy, and then I had my son test it out, which you're gonna see here. With the no-touch setting engaged, you can basically set the Yuka to run and use your lawn as you normally would. Go out and play with the kids, let the dogs out, and you don't have to worry about anything unsafe going on. Now, I can't be fair without providing a few cons. Now, this first one's definitely a pet peeve, but I don't like that the height of cut adjustment is on the actual mower itself and not built into the app. It's a physical dial. I don't like that. Now, the first time I set up the mower and it was doing its first task, is what they call it when you're setting a program up, I realized I had the dial set too low, so I had to follow the mower a little bit, stop it, turn the dial up a little bit, restart it until I found the right height of cut. Definitely don't understand why it's not in the app, but it's not, and you do what you can. Also regarding height of cut, it'd be nice to know what height each dial setting is. Obviously 10 is the highest setting, which is at 3.94 inches. 1 is the lowest setting at 1.18 inches. But what does dial setting 3 mean? Which setting equals 3.5 inches? None of this information is apparent on any of the pamphlets that I have. It's not on the machine itself, so that'd just be good information to have. Finally, I noticed that the Yuka has struggled to connect to the charging base. Here's a video recorded with my phone just to sort of show you what I mean. Yep, you can see it's struggling. this terminal did not connect into the mower. Let's see if it gets it here. You can see where it's sort of been running tracks here. It's gonna miss it again. Yeah, you see it's sort of pushing, it's struggling. I don't know, but it's not connecting. It's getting to this one fine, but this one, I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna stick my hand in here and get my finger pinched.
Start charging.
It took the third try with me helping it to get it to the charging base. Now at that point where I recorded that video, I had just moved the charging base from its initial location I had set it up in, where the Yuka had to kind of go uphill ever so slightly to connect with the charging base. So I gave it the benefit of the doubt and thought I just needed to move it to a a more level area. But even after doing that, as you saw in the video, it still didn't connect to the charger. Now it's done that 1 out of 3 times, so the other 2 times it was fine, but it's still struggling to get into the terminals, and I don't quite understand why. Now I have submitted these concerns to Mammotion just to see if maybe they have a firmware update or maybe they have some tips and tricks that I need to do to better set up the charging base, so here's hoping I get some feedback from them. All in all, I'm really impressed with the Mammotion Yuka. It's actually a really good looking device. In the initial images I saw of it, I thought it looked like just your run-of-the-mill robot mower, only in white, but it actually kind of looks like a Cobra head, and so my kids have since named it Kobe. The app is really good. It has a lot of functionality in it other than height of cut adjustment, but there's so much to do in the app, but it's still very easy to navigate, which is a plus. It also mows tall and wide. The sweeper functionality is really great. It allows you to use the Yuka more. This also causes cost per use to decrease. If you are in the market for a robot lawnmower, give the Mammotion Yuka some very strong consideration. With everything that this mower does, it's tall height of cut, it's wide mowing width, all the things that are built into the app, for $1,300, this machine is really tough to beat. Anyway, that is it for this video. Please give this video a big fat like if you haven't already, subscribe if you haven't already. If you have any questions about the Mammotion Yuka, post those down below. I always read every comment. I try to reply to every comment, so I will get to your questions as quickly as humanly possible. Anyway, I will see you all in the next video. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and God bless.